YouTube. Today I will be doing an unboxing and first look at the Gigabyte Z87X-OC overclocking motherboard. If we take a look at the outside of the box, we see it's an OC certified motherboard. It has the new Intel inside sticker. This is because of the way that Haswell has been engineered from the bottom up. With Ivy Bridge and Sandy Bridge, they were server grade chips that were a bit rubbish, so they didn't use them for servers and they just sold them to the public. But the Haswell has been engineered from the ground up by engineers, so it will be better in almost every way. Has better graphics, has better power management. Now, the power efficiency of these is incredible. They have really done a great job. But anyway, LGA 1150 socket only, so it's not backwards compatible with Ivy Bridge or Sandy Bridge. Look at the front of the box, same as on the top of the box. Look at the side, you got your nomenclature there. If you wanted to buy this, you could look for the serial number. That's there if you want to pause the video on that. On the back, we have features and benefits, just the basics, in lots of different languages. The back of the box is where it gets kind of much more interesting. Now, run down the features. We'll go from the top left down to the bottom right. So you have what's called OC brace. That's this big bracket here. That is, instead of, if you didn't want to run this inside of a case, you can just put the graphics card and attach them to that bracket instead of the PCI slots in the back of a case. It supports 4-way Crossfire or 2-way SLI. Crossfire is AMD's version and SLI is Nvidia's version of using multiple GPUs for more power. It has durable black solid caps. They're capacitors by Chemicon. They're a Japanese company. They're the highest end capacitors you can buy on a motherboard at the time of this video. They're rated for 100k hours at 105 degrees, which is insane, so they'll last forever basically. You have a dual UEFI BIOS with LED indicators so you know which one. Green is your primary BIOS and red is your backup BIOS. So if it flashes, it will go to if you have a bad flash, it will go to your backup BIOS instead of your primary on. You have a orange heatsink design. These are very low profile heatsinks because of the chipset. The one on the left here is only 4.9 watts of power, I believe, the TDP of it, and the VRM is fine. You could run them both on air if you wanted. You could take off the heatsink. You have the specifications down here. I'm not going to read these out. You can pause the video and read them for yourself if you want them. You have OC ignition. This is just the rear I/O here. We'll get to that when we open the motherboard. 8 fan connectors. That's the PCI layout there. I'll show you on the motherboard itself in a bit. There's the rest of the back of the box. OC touch. I'll talk more about that in detail later. Okay, so I will open the box. It's very white. Motherboard's in the top here. We'll get to that later. I'll set that to one side. Now we have the accessories in here. Okay, oops, sorry, move the camera. We have 2 serial ATA, or SATA as I call them, as most people call them. You have 2 in here and 2 in the other packet, so for 4 in total. 2 of them have a right angle connector on one end and a straight connector on the other, and the others are just straight on both ends, so let's put them away. You have little voltage read point connectors, so you plug them into the slots on the motherboard so you can read your voltages with a multimeter outside of your system if you wanted to. You have the black Crossfire bridge, which is flexible. You have your SLI bridge, which is also black and flexible and will reach across multiple ports. PCI things. You have OC brace, which is one of the main features of this board. It's very heavy, made of aluminium. It's very solid. No flex in it at all. You have your instruction manual. Nothing on the back. You have, what's this? Oh, that's a French guide of some sort. And there's the multilingual installation guidebook. And then finally, you have your rear I/O bridge, I/O shield. and Gigabyte case badge or sticker. Rest of the box, nothing in it. Let's set that to the side. Get the motherboard back. There we go. It's in a very high quality feeling anti-static bag. Okay, so this will make a lot of noise for the camera, so I'm sorry about that. Get that tape away. 1 second. There we go. Now, with a motherboard, you want to be careful not to touch it in anywhere that could short it out, because that would kill your board, and I don't think warranty covers that. So let's start in the top left. So you got your rear I/O with some pink foam. Let's actually leave the pink foam on. Okay, so you got your 4-pin and 8-pin CPU connectors. You have your power delivery section. You have your 2 CPU fans, CPU fan 1 there, and the optional fan there. You have a 3-pin system fan 6, and your other 3-pin is somewhere there. There you go. They're the only 2 3-pins on the board. The rest of them are 4-pin PWM controlled ones. You got your 1150 socket there, and your 9 Chemicon black capacitors. Under the VRM, you have your 8 chokes that provide 60 amps to the CPU socket. You have not a whole lot much else. Okay, let's go over here. You have, this is part of the OC Touch, but you have your PCIe disable switches, so if you flick them up, that will disable the PCIe slots. You pick another one up, it's fine, and then back down. They're pretty stiff connectors, but they'll loosen up if you keep doing it. Got your reset button in white, so you can tell it apart from the rest. You have your power button. You have multiplier decrease and increase. You have your base clock increase and decrease. You have, I don't know if you can see that gear. That's a push in switch and leave, and then out. I don't know if you can hear the click on the video, but that will change the base clock from changing it in 0.1 megahertz to 1 megahertz. So out of it, it's 1 megahertz, and if you press it in, it would do 0.1 megahertz. You then have your turbo, which is just a 4.2 gigahertz straight out of the box overclock by Gigabyte. Then you have your tag, which is another hold it in, like just leave it in, it will do it. Take it out and it will disable it. That enables the tag profile in the BIOS that you can set. So that won't go away if you clear your CMOS. Oh, over here, sorry I missed them. You have your voltage read points that you can plug them little connectors in that I showed you earlier. Okay, over here you have your 6-pin PCIe supplementary power. So if you populate all 4 of the slots on this board, you are advised to plug a 6-pin into that, but I'm not going to bother because I don't think you need it really. Okay, so the top PCIe slot, it's a PCIe 16X. It's wired for 16X, wired for 8X. It's PCIe, that's a 1X slot. PCIe 8X and 4X, so that's running off the chipset. That's wired for 8X, but it will run at 4X, and that's directly off the chipset itself, or the South Bridge as old folks call it. Over here you have the audio solution. You have your AC 98 or 97, sorry, I'll have to check that. You got your AC audio that will go to your 7.1 audio over there. I'll show you that later. You have your BIOS battery, or CMOS battery as people call it. You have your front panel connectors. There's a front panel audio down there. There you go, that's better. You have your SPDIF out, system fan 2, which is another 4-pin PWM one. You have your COM out, USB 2 and USB 2. You have 2 USB 2s, which will provide you 4 USB 2 ports. You have your USB 3.0 header, 20-pin. You have another system fan just there. you have another system fan just there, all 4 pins by the way. Then you have your front panel connectors, so that's power, that's your hard drive indicator LED reset. Then you've got your 2 USB 2 ports. They are internal, so when you open this up, they'll be on the inside. And if you put it in your case, you can plug USB 2 into the inside. Over here, while I'm here, you have your 6 SATA 6 gigabit per second ports, or revision 3 ports. You have, turn it slightly around again. You have your 24-pin main motherboard connector. You have your on-off charge USB 3.0 front panel port. That the power of them is provided by that little chip there and that little chip there. That will keep the power supply providing power to the USB 2 port, USB 3.0 port, sorry. Up here, I missed that area, you have your debug LED, so if your motherboard doesn't post, then read that and it will tell you the error message. And that's about it for the main part of the motherboard. We'll move around to the back of it now. Let's see. Let's lift this up. Okay, still has your pink fluff, sorry. Foam. You have your two USB 2.0 ports. You have your OC ignition. Now, the OC ignition is a thing. It's a patent pending. I should add. It's by Gigabyte. It took them a long time to engineer. It's only on their OC boards, and it's an only Gigabyte feature. It basically, if you're running LN2 cooling, which on this motherboard you should be, because it's a really overclocking based motherboard, that OC ignition button, once it's enabled, it will keep your power supply on, thinking that the motherboard wants power. It will keep your graphics card fan spinning and your CPU fan spinning. This is important for LN2 overclocking. LN2, for those of you who don't know, is liquid nitrogen, and it's for sub-zero temperatures, as most of you know anyway. It will basically keep your fans running so the cold and warm don't condensate on your board, which is bad because you can short your board and kill it. So that just keeps your fans running so you can take away any moisture from your board. Okay, over here on the back you have your 2 USB 3, 2 USB 3, 2 USB 3, so that's 6 in total. You have your PS2 port, which is over there on the right. Normally it's over there on the left, but Gigabyte put it there. You've got your optical audio out there. And you've got your pink phone. You've got your 7.1 audio out there. You've got your Intel Gigabit LAN. You have, let me remove the blue protective thing in the doodads. Okay, so you got dual HDMI and a display port. Display port's just there. HDMI. Now, the reason Gigabyte have given us 2 HDMIs is because HDMI is a video and audio out, whereas DVI is similar to HDMI, but it doesn't transmit audio down, so you can't have audio through DVI. But HDMI can, so people will plug one monitor with HDMI into their monitor, and the other you can plug it into an external NIC or an external sound card, and that will provide sound to that. So this has been my overview and unboxing of the Gigabyte Z87X-OC motherboard. I'll be doing a build with this with an i5, GTX 760, 8GB RAM, various other things. So stay tuned for that. This has been Marcus from Marcus Tech Tips. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video. Goodbye.